Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. Coors Light, cold as the Rockies. Please drink responsibly.
SGA out front, barrels to the right wing, and Stephon Johnson kicks in the corner to Holmgren, driving the baseline, leans in and dunks! Oh shit, don't be so mean! Should be a foul call as well, there is none. The Thunder go up 10 as Chet breathes fire. He's got 10 tonight. Up, cross court left to Wallace. Whips it to Holmgren. Open, snaps off an angle left three-pointer for the tie and splashes. Ching the Thunder money ball. Chet Holmgren lofting and sticking his first shot of the night. Jarrett gingerly across the timeline. Out front to Hartenstein. Back to McCain. 3 for 3 straight away. Banks it. In and in. In and out and back in again. He didn't call glass. It doesn't matter. Ching, that's Thunder money ball number 13. OKC by 8. The Spurs won't foul. Gildas Alexander fed the ball. Will dribble it out. Loud City. The loudest it's been in memory. The final horn sounds and the Thunder tied as Western Conference best of 7 with San Antonio with a hard-earned 122-113 conquest of the Spurs.
I just have sucked.
5 seconds left, no icing. Burns retrieves, but this one is headed to the books. That's all she wrote in Game 1. Vegas 4, Colorado 2.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
All right, what's going on, my friends? Hope you're enjoying your Thursday afternoon. What a spectacular day it is here in the Northwest. I am working from a remote location today because after the show, I needed to be on the proper side of town so I could get to the theater to go check out The Mandalorian. It hits the big screen today. Tonight is preview night. Its official opening is tomorrow, but there are certain movies that I have to go see on the very first night. Like, I don't want to wait. I'm there. I want to check it out. And so I'm pretty excited about The Mandalorian. I'm not like a total Star Wars dork, and there are a lot of them out there who dive even deeper than I do. I'm just a guy who grew up in the era of the Star Wars movies, and I've enjoyed each and every movie along the way. And then once Disney Plus came out and they started to offer up these series, whether it be The Mandalorian or Ahsoka, or Andor, or Kenobi. I've gotten into each of them, and I enjoy the entertainment value. I think they're really good. But The Mandalorian, especially with Baby Yoda Grogu, it's been one of my favorite stories. So I'm going to go check out the movie tonight. I'm going to take my daughter Kaylee is going to go, and then my parents, they get back in late tonight, I think around midnight, from Chicago. And as you know, my brother passed away in December from cancer, which was awful. But my parents went back to Chicago last week. My brother's son, Cole, graduated from high school. So they wanted to go and get a chance to spend time with Jenny, his mom, and spend some time with Cole. And so my dad and I have basically like a little handshake agreement where when I need to be dropped off or picked up at the airport at an obscene hour, he will take care of me, and then I return the favor when he or mom need to be picked up or dropped off at an obscene hour. And so I did it on their getaway flight. I dropped them off at like 5 a.m., and then I drove straight to the golf course and got around to golfing before work last week. And tonight I'll go check out The Mandalorian and then make the trek over to the airport to pick them up. So that's what's cracking today. If you hear any noise in the background, I apologize. I had a little discussion with my furry son, Puppy Shots, that, hey, we got some work to do. I know that you have to keep patrol on anything that's going on around us, and I respect that, but you cannot just go on and on and on. And then I explained to him that right now he is currently third in the kid power rankings. Isaac somehow has elevated himself to number 1, mostly because of his work ethic and the way he is crushing Southwest Washington with the Uber Eats on his bike, too, by the way. I offered to get him an e-bike. I was like, dude, let me get you an e-bike, man. Then you can save some of your power. He's like, oh, Dad, no, I love my bike. And he just thought the idea was ridiculous. I'm like, man, I'm ready to invest. And he shut me down like usual. He's like, no, Dad, I got this. So Isaac is number 1. Kaylee is number 2, holding on by a thread. And then Puppy Shots just really catapulted himself downward into number 3. And he's on my S list right now. And the reason why is because this time of year with the long days and the early mornings and everything, and it's warmer outside and there's more critters bumping around in the backyard, he cannot shut up. And dachshunds as a whole, they are partially tarded, if you know what I mean. It's like, what are you guys doing? Do you constantly need to be yapping? And not only that, you guys are small and can be ripped up by pretty much any animal you run into. Why do you bark like you're a gigantic dog? What's up with that? He just tilts his head and looks at me like, what, man? It's just, I'm doing my duty. You ever notice that, though? Like little dogs, they yap like somehow they got some type of big bite. You know they don't. And it's like a short man syndrome. We all went to school with that guy, too. You want to fight? You think that's funny? It's like, no, dude, I'm just trying to figure out why you have such the attitude when you're a little guy. Who was that I was listening to today? Isaiah Thomas, Zeke, from the Bad Boys. He was ready to fight. I think he hit Rick Mahorn. And Mahorn turned and looked at him and started laughing like, dude, you don't want any of this. Like Isaiah Thomas, he said, competition and the desire to win will make you crazy sometimes. Like Zeke was ready to throw with Rick Mahorn. I don't think you want to throw with Rick Mahorn. And Isaiah said to this day he thanks Rick Mahorn for not tearing him apart. Because I think Rick smiled and he goes, you realize I could split you like a grape, right? But he didn't. And thankfully, and I think that's the way we were created, thankfully a lot of the very large humans that could like twist me up into a pretzel, for some reason they have like the patience and the understanding not to destroy little humans, right? Like Shaquille O'Neal was a gigantic beast in the NBA. Like he could just destroy anybody. Big, powerful, dominant. And he was getting hacked all the time by scrubs. And I think you know all the scrubs that used to try to take him down. Greg Ostertag, name any of the bums back then, and Shaq was murdering them. And he would get hacked, and they would put him on the free throw line, or he would just get hammered play after play after play. And because he was so big and dominant, I think it worked against him when it came to the officials at times, and yet he kept his cool. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't, like, at least once lose it and just pummel somebody, but he didn't. And for some reason, the big guys don't do that. All right, here's what we got coming up. I'm excited about this interview. You know, I'm just getting tired of all the reporting locally on Tom Dundon. A lot of negativity, no matter where you go, what you read in the paper, what you read online on social media. Everything locally has been of a negative slant towards Dundon with his decision-making. He's perceived as being a tight or cheap owner, and that's just the deal. He apparently, or at least reportedly, offered somebody $1 million to coach the Trailblazers. A lot of crazy stuff is being reported. So what I did is I wanted to go outside of Portland to find somebody who could give us some insight on Tom Dundon. Like I told you yesterday, and what I've been thinking about is Tom Dundon is not an unknown quantity. It's not like he came out of nowhere and we're trying to figure out who he is. He's got a long track record, which, by the way, is very successful in Carolina with the Hurricanes. And so I came across a gentleman who has done some time, sat down with him, spent time around him, and have written pieces on him from Sports Business Journal, Alex Silverman. And he's going to join the program coming up here in 10 minutes. And we'll ask him about Tom, you know, what we should expect, what he thinks about Tom as an owner of the Hurricanes, what he thinks Tom will do over the course of time here in Portland. And the one thing I've learned in reading some of the pieces put together by Silverman is, you know, especially with negotiation, Dundon is a very fierce negotiator, like a lot of these successful businessmen are, but he has softened over time, and ultimately what he's looking for is a fair deal. So in the end, he's going to be a tough negotiator when it comes to the state, city, and the Multnomah County and the city council and everyone he's working with right now. And he's going to continue to fight, scratch and claw for everything that he thinks is necessary. But ultimately what he's looking for is a fair deal. And, of course, people are upset about the layoffs that came yesterday with the Trailblazers, where 70 people were laid off. Now, I hate it, man. A lot of friends, a lot of people I know who are out of work, and it's brutal. I never wish anyone to lose their gig, even people who I may consider enemies. I would never wish someone to lose their gig. It's not a good thing. Job loss is a big stressor, especially right now with economic times not being spectacular. It's difficult. And so I never want to see anyone lose their job, but I do know from people I've talked to inside the organization that, there were moves that were made yesterday that were necessary and supported by many on staff. So we'll find out from Silverman. We'll dig in, and I just want to try and give you a fair idea of what Tom Dundon is as an owner, what we should expect moving forward. But I think the most exciting part is if you look at the success of the Hurricanes on the business side, with the lease that he was able to get done and keep the team there for a long period of time, signing a 20-year lease, the economic development that he's brought to the area, and then the success with the attendance and the way he focuses in on fans, and then the success on the ice where the Hurricanes now are on the verge of getting to the Stanley Cup Finals. So he's got a track record of success, and he's a guy who wants to win, and so I think this is good for all of us as Blazer fans to have someone who's committed to winning, that has a formula for how he wants to get things done, and he's got a vision. And I like people like that because you know that he is going to be all in. He's going to be hands-on. He's going to be all in, and he wants to be successful. And what more could you want as a fan? You want someone that wants to win, someone that's got a track record of success, and someone that's willing to spend to make that happen. And that's the key to remember, that regardless of what he does on the business side, I think from everything I've been able to pick up on is that Dundon, it's very simple. It's a simple formula. He does not want to waste money. He wants to reinvest money into where it matters most. And for him, that's going to be the players. That's going to be all the details when it comes to making sure the players are in their best position to succeed, that they have all the tools necessary to go out on the floor and play their best basketball. He's not going to bargain hunt or use coupons when it comes to NBA players. He's going to take care of them. And then he's going to tighten up the business side in the way that he sees fit. And as I've said before, when you spend, $4 billion on an NBA team, you've earned the right to be able to make the decisions that you want to make. Whether they're popular or not, you've kind of earned that right. So that's what I want to do. I just want to get a different outside perspective on Tom Dundon as we continue to move forward. Now, if you want to reach out and jump on board, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Michael Shacker is with me. You can reach out, 503-248-0620. We got NBA basketball tonight, 5 o'clock in New York, Game 2 with the Cavs and the Knicks. How will Cleveland respond after blowing that 22-point lead in Game 1 and losing the game in overtime? Is Kenny Atkinson going to save more timeouts tonight, or will he actually utilize the ones that he's got? And then we got the Eastern Conference Final in the Stanley Cup playoffs kicking off tonight with Tom Dundon's Carolina Hurricanes hosting the Montreal Canadiens. And last night, Las Vegas took Game 1 in the Western Final against Colorado. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We'll come back and do a deep dive on Tom Dundon with Alex Silverman of Sports Business Journal here on the Rip City Drive. All right, our next guest is a reporter for Sports Business Journal, and he covers hockey and soccer. I'm very pleased to welcome Alex Silverman to the Rip City Drive. Alex, first off, thank you for making time to join the show. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chad.
All right, a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but you know what's great about you is that you've had a chance to sit down with Dundon, and you did an entire layout and piece on him after really turning the Carolina Hurricanes into a force in the NHL, and right now they're in the Eastern Conference Final, which will kick off tonight. They've got a chance to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, which is pretty sweet. But what's been interesting to me, Alex, is that here in Portland over the last month, since he's taken over operations with the Trailblazers, the reporting has been mostly negative in regards to everything, whether it be decisions he's made on the business side, on the basketball side, or this perception that he might be cheap. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on the show so we could do a deep dive on him. But I guess we'll start out with this. His upbringing, and I think a lot of people don't know this, he wasn't born into money, but he actually had to struggle from the start. He's kind of a self-made man. Is that how you would describe him?
Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like he was, poor per se, but, came from kind of, I would say, a lower middle class background in South Jersey. I had the chance to chat with one of his close friends from college, and he described Tom driving a, beat up pickup truck and using a pair of needle nose pliers to adjust the broken dial. And so, yeah, he did not come from money and, has just kind of always been a hustler. I think that's how I'd probably describe his upbringing.
Yeah, hustling. I think that's probably a good way to describe it. So how would, what do you think led to this journey into the sports world? I mean, obviously, he's a guy that likes to get in the business side and try to fix things that are broken. But with sports, what do you think led to that? Was it the competition, his love of sport, or the desire to get in and to try to win?
Yeah, I think he's hyper competitive. So sports makes a lot of sense. I think he's the kind of person who truly believes that, he has what it takes to outsmart the competition. I think he thinks that if he can go in and do things his way and implement, his culture and his systems, that he's going to have results that are better than average. And I think he's got a passion for sports. Before he took over the Canes, he was invested in Topgolf. He's a big golfer and wanted to get his kids more into golf, so he got involved with Topgolf and really helped take that company to the next level. So yeah, I think it's a passion for sports, his competitive drive, and the belief that he can be successful in sports.
All right, the one thing I've been trying to explain to Trailblazer fans is that, Tom Dundon is not an unknown based on his track record with the Carolina Hurricanes. So, we kind of have an idea of what he's about. But I guess the success there with the Hurricanes is pretty impressive because from my understanding, like when he took over, like that franchise had fallen on hard times, hadn't it?
100%. They've made the playoffs more since he took over the team than they had since they arrived in Raleigh in the mid-'90s. So, they were, long removed from their lone Stanley Cup Finals or Stanley Cup championship in 2005, 2006 when he took over. Long playoff drought. And, the key decision that he made to, take things in the right direction was hiring Rod Brindamore as the coach. And he's just, had great success there. The players really respect him, and he's implemented a system that, has allowed them to get the most out of, a roster that is talented but not star-studded. He like you said, that franchise had fallen on hard times. And, there were a lot of relocation rumors when, before he took over and even after he took over. I had the chance to speak with the previous general manager, Don Waddell, and, he acknowledged that Tom early in his tenure there when things were not going well and the team was bleeding money, that he was like, would it be better for us to try and do this somewhere else? But ultimately, he's been able to turn it around. He, I think, made a lot of the kinds of moves that have probably irked Blazers fans in his early time there. He said that he wants to put all his money on the ice, and that's involved, not overpaying, in his mind, overpaying broadcasters that have been with the franchise for a long time and letting them walk because they weren't willing to take what he saw as fair market value. And I think that, there was some of those moves had a similar reaction from Hurricanes fans that, some of the early moves in Portland have had from Blazers fans, but he's ultimately won them over based on success on the ice.
Well, don't you think a very simple formula in sports, and you know this, and I'm sure Dundon understands this, but if he eventually has success with the team and they're winning basketball games, my guess would be, based on what I know from all the Trailblazer fans here in town, they care about winning, number one, and if the team is winning and having success, they're going to show up at the arena, support the team, and continue to cheer them on, and they'll probably care a lot less about some of the business decisions that Dundon makes off the court. Don't you see it that way? It's a pretty simple formula in sports. Winning has a way of solving a lot of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know with there's an arena situation, and there was kind of a similar situation in Raleigh where, they were towards the end of their lease there. And once he, started having success with the team and, when he took over, attendance was dismal. And once the team was performing again, they became successful, and he brought back the old Hartford Whalers branding that the prior owner wasn't really interested in leaning into because he had been the one to move them out of Hartford, and that, was a hot seller. So he, turned the team into a moneymaker, and then once he was able to kind of do that, he committed long-term, has worked with the city to finance a mixed-use development that's going to be taking place over the next decade plus, and renovations to the arena. So, yeah, I think fans care about, of course, keeping the team local and winning. So, if Dundon can do that in Portland, I think, he'll win everybody over.
Isn't it interesting, Alex, how the two situations, when he took over in Carolina and now in Portland, they mirror each other quite closely, where until this season, the Trailblazers had gone through multiple seasons of poor basketball as they were going through, the lottery. And the current lease on the arena, Moda Center, is up in 2030. He's negotiating with the state, the city, and the local council, the county, Multnomah County, to be able to get the funding approved, to be able to get arena improvements and get the facelift to Moda Center so that can be a viable spot for the long term. And he's got a basketball team that, that they're trying to find a way to get back to its winning ways. It just feels and looks a lot like what Carolina was. Maybe not as bad as the Hurricanes, but there's some similarities there.
Yeah, and I guess the question becomes, is the model, the Tom Dundon model that he's deployed in Carolina, replicable in Portland? The one thing that I don't know if he can necessarily pull off is, Rod Brindamore, he hired him, for his first NHL head coaching job, and he's been extremely successful since then. And Dundon credits him more than anyone for the turnaround of the team. And yet he's still, in every contract negotiation since then, has, played hardball with them. He is still, well below market value for an NHL coach, despite leading the Hurricanes to, I think, a top 2 or 3 record since he took over. And a lot of that has to do with Brindamore. He played for the franchise, a legend with the franchise. He wants to be there. And I think as a result of that, he's been able to retain him for far below market value. I don't know if that's something that if they were able to, find the right guy in Portland, I just don't know if that's something that you can do in another market, in another situation.
Yeah, and that's been one of the hot topics, has been his desire to find a coach. There's been reporting that, he's looking to pay someone to coach the team for, roughly $1 to $1.5, maybe $2 million, which is far below market value for an NBA coach. A lot of people in this town, they have this perception that Tom Dundon is cheap. But how would you describe Tom Dundon as an owner? Is he just, I mean, based on what I've read, at least from the people outside of Portland, especially around the Hurricanes, is that he wants to tighten things up on the business side, but he's going to spend and invest in the players, and I would imagine he would do the same here in Portland. Is that an oversimplification, or do you think that's how you would look at it?
I think that's, my understanding of his philosophy. I thought that I read the Oregonian story about the layoffs. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. And there was a quote in there from a team source that the Blazers had, I think they said, the largest business operations staff, or one of the largest business operations staff in the NBA, despite being a lower revenue team, and that's just not something that jives with Dundon's philosophy. He is all about efficiencies, doing. I wouldn't say doing more with less, but not spending just to spend. Making sure he's getting the most out of all of his people. He doesn't really, from what I can understand. I'm not going to pretend I know the guy super well, but I don't think he doesn't care if you've been there a long time necessarily. If he doesn't think that you're going in every day and trying to do the best job that you can do, or if there's somebody who can do your job better. He's very competitive. He thinks that his kind of calculating and analytical philosophy is what makes him more successful than a lot of other people, and I think he tries to apply that to all of his businesses, including his sports teams.
We're talking with Alex Silverman from Sports Business Journal here on the Rip City Drive. He acknowledged in the podcast with Max Kellerman and Rich Paul over the weekend that, he's still learning the NBA game. How hard do you think that adjustment is for an owner to go from one sport to the other? Because the NHL is not the NBA and vice versa. That I would imagine there is a learning curve there, even for someone as sharp as Dundon, right?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought that podcast interview, he doesn't do a ton of long-form interviews, so when he does, I definitely try and listen. And I thought that was really, kind of shed a lot of light on his philosophy. But he said that he thought there were more similarities than differences. But yeah, some of the things that he was talking about as differences were so funny that, and they're things that you could totally understand somebody not realizing if they haven't been in it. Like I think there was a controversy over T-shirts versus rally towels. For example, and he was talking about how, we, for hockey, everybody wants to wear their hockey jersey, so we do rally towels. And, it's the kind of thing, like you said, you're not going to really know it until you show up, and, you're going to make some mistakes. And you hope that they're not super costly ones. Obviously, I guess the verdict's out with some of the decisions he's made in terms of the staffing. But yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of a learning curve, but I also do think that there probably are a lot of similarities between the two gigs.
Alex, you've been covering sports for quite a while. How long do you think you have to give an owner before you start to get an idea of what he's all about and whether or not his formula is going to work in this sport? Like, how long does it normally take? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Is it maybe longer sometimes? Like, how do you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on the sort of situation you're coming into. I mean, I think the kind of the number one job for an owner is to make sure the team is secure in its location, has a proper facility, and I'm not going to full disclosure, I don't know all the ins and outs of the Moda Center and Portland politics, but it seems like that is probably his most important task, is to set them up long term to be in a state of the art building and in that market. So that can take years to deal with politicians and get whether if he's chasing public money, that can take a really long time getting approval and local support. So it can take quite a bit of time with that. And then obviously, how long it takes to build a successful front office and roster kind of depends as well on where the team is. I think, the Blazers have some promise. So if you bring in the right, the right coach, that could maybe happen on a better, quicker timetable.
I got one more question for you. It looks like they're going to be able to get a deal done and get the public money for the renovations to the arena, set in place so that the Blazers can be secure here in Portland for a long period of time, which would be nice. But for the local officials, like what type of a negotiator is Tom Dundon? Like, what should they expect through that process, and what were you able to uncover about Dundon when it comes to negotiating and trying to get a deal done for his team or his businesses?
Yeah, I think with the state, with sports facility deals, you have, two ends of the spectrum. You have the guys that are, willing to fund their entire project out of their own pocket. I think of the Chicago Fire, the MLS team. Their owner, Joe Mansueto, is spending $750 million of his own money to build a new stadium. And then you have other owners who know that they have leverage over the local municipality and are going to try and squeeze every dollar of public funding out of them. And even though I do think that in Raleigh, the Hurricanes are the only pro sports team there. So I do think that, Dundon probably had at least some leverage there in terms of negotiations locally. I think he struck a deal that both sides are happy with in terms of, there is some public money involved, but he's still paying taxes on the property, and is contributing a lot of his own money towards the project. I don't have the exact finances handy, but I think he'll expect, like most sports owners expect, the taxpayers to chip in to a certain extent, but I don't think he's necessarily looking for a total handout.
Well, by the way, I know you're a big hockey guy. So do you like Colorado to win the Cup, or do you think Carolina can sneak up? What are you expecting?
Yeah, so I did the bracket before the playoffs started, and I picked Vegas over Carolina. I was a little worried coming into the conference finals about Colorado because they looked so dominant against Minnesota, a team that I thought could beat them. But yeah, Vegas came out strong last night with the Game 1 win, so I'm feeling pretty good about my pre-playoff prediction. So I'm going to stick with the Golden Knights over the Hurricanes.
But it's nice when you open up the Western Conference Final at night in Game 1 when your goalie's on fire, man. That was good work. Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vegas is a fun team. I think that's an organization, talking about kind of ownership groups and, taking, maybe not the most traditional philosophy. Those are guys who march to the beat of their own drums and have been extremely successful. So it can definitely happen.
Well, Alex, I really appreciate you taking time to share some insight on Tom Dundon. Keep up the great work at Sports Business Journal. You can follow him on social at Alex M. Silverman. But, Alex, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
You got it. There's Alex Silverman, Sports Business Journal here on the Rip City Drive. So hope you enjoyed that insight. And I think, it's as I pointed out with Tom Dundon, he wants to win, and he's got a formula for how he's going to get that done. So I'm not going to stand up here and panic because we have a new owner that's coming in trying to set up the organization the way that he sees fit. I think the Blazers are in a strengthened position. I think they're going to get the deal done and get the public funding and then get that lease done, and the Blazers are going to be a long term. And then Dundon can turn his full attention to, the basketball team and making sure that they have what they need to be successful. So there you have it. So again, he's going to look to run in an efficient manner on the business side, but when it comes to the players, he's going to take care of them. And he's already said that if they have a chance to win a title and he's got to go in the luxury tax, then so be it, he'll do it. Just like almost every other owner would do the same. All right, if you got any reaction, 503-248-0620. I'd love to hear your voice. If you're out there bumping around and you want to chime in, 503-248-0620. What a beautiful day it is in the Northwest on this Thursday. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, if memory serves correct, this is a song by Falco, Amadeus. This is like vintage 80s material right here. Rock me, Amadeus. Falco, that's a great name. Give me some volume on this, Shacker. All right, this is good news. A report out from Chris Haynes. The Portland Trailblazers have requested permission to meet with Los Angeles Clippers assistant Jeff Van Gundy as he has emerged as one of the finalists for the head coaching opening. So there you have it. Do you think Jeff Van Gundy would work for $1 million a year to be head coach of the Blazers? I don't think so. But that's good. They've reached out to Balke. I've always wanted one of the guys from the Perfect Strangers to coach the Trailblazers, and I think Balke would be a good decision. But I like Jeff Van Gundy. I like him more as an announcer than I do a coach, but if they could lure Jeff Van Gundy in, that's fine. And that would be getting the good half of the Van Gundy brothers, because Stan Van and his voice, I can't take it anymore. I have to mute the television when I'm watching him on the call for an NBA game. So you've got Ron Jeremy on one side, and you've got Balke on the other side. Balke is the better of the two. It's like, Stan, can you please close your pie hole? Like, I want to listen to you, but you make it impossible. It's like you're just frothing at the mouth. Settle down. So there you have it. Chris Haynes. Portland Trailblazers have requested permission to meet with Los Angeles Clippers assistant Jeff Van Gundy as he has emerged as one of the finalists for their head coaching opening. And there you have it. And see, this is what I'm talking about. This is why you go through a wide net when you're looking for a new head coach. We all agree that Tiago Splitter did a heck of a job in his grenade year with the Blazers. One day on the job, the coach who's in charge gets taken away by the FBI for rigging poker games, allegedly, and then you're thrown onto the job as the acting head coach. And you handled it with flying colors. I mean, he did a great job. But to say that Tiago is the absolute right guy for the job, unless you've gone out and talked to all the possible candidates who are available and interested in the gig, like, you'll be doing your team a disservice. So I like that the Blazers have done a coaching search. And if that means you can talk to someone like Jeff Van Gundy and potentially hire him, good. And Jeff Van Gundy has got a lot of experience. I think he knows what he's doing. So this is a good thing. And again, that's why I had Alex Silverman on, because the reporting and the insight on Dundon locally has been garbage. It's too much. Everything is negative. Are you trying to tell me that Dundon, who's had nothing but success in Carolina since he took over the Hurricanes, somehow showed up in Portland and has no idea of what's going on? I don't buy that at all. And the funny thing is like, if you or me or anybody else decided to buy the Trailblazers, wouldn't that give us the right to structure the organization however we see fit? I'm just not in the business of telling people how they need to spend their money and what they need to do. You know, he bought the team. He's in charge. He gets to make those decisions. And then we'll sit back and we'll have time to see how it goes, and then we can evaluate as time goes on. But yeah, I'm very hopeful, and I'm just thankful that the Blazers have someone in now that's in charge, that wants to win, is aggressive, and has got the mindset to make it happen. And we have, evidence of his work and what it's done. He took over the Hurricanes when they were hot garbage, a disaster. He showed up at I think it was a preseason game when he was looking at buying the team, and there were like 3,000 people in the stands. And he told the GM at the time, he's like, this is a disaster, isn't it? And he's like, well, it's not this bad, but it looks worse tonight because it's preseason. But yeah, it was bad. And he's transformed them into an NHL power, which is great. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can jump on board if you'd like. I'd love to hear your voice. If you got any insight on the situation with the Trailblazers, love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Tom Dundon? And again, with some of the mistakes, like not sending the two-way players initially, he's talked about that. They don't do stuff like that in the NHL because they just don't want the distractions. But in the NBA, like he said, they welcome distractions. So he corrected the mistake, and they were on their way to San Antonio. He's going to make some missteps along the way because he's learning a new sport and a new way of how things are done and the way the league works. But, the one thing I respect about the guy is that, he at one time was in severe debt, over $100,000. He had a couple of failed businesses, but he continued to grind and work and figured it out. He's kind of a self-made guy, which I respect. I like that. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. I did get a text message, and this is in regard to the game that's coming up tonight. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals with the Cavs and Knicks. 5 o'clock tip from Madison Square Garden. From the 775, your onslaught of verbal hilarity about Cavs coach yesterday was complete comedy. Sarcasm at its finest had me legit laughing. Keep up the classic rants. I wonder with Kenny Atkinson, the Cavs head coach, do you think he's bringing the game 1 timeouts he did not use to game number 2, like leftovers, and thinking that he might be able to use them?
Yeah, I like to hold my timeouts. I mean, I could keep, I didn't want to get 1 timeout at the end of the game, 1 or 2 point game. I try to hold them.
I know I hate leftovers. I'm not a leftover guy. Like, I want to prepare a meal and eat it, but I don't like really leftovers. It's not my thing. I bet you Kenny Atkinson's a big leftover guy. He probably eats Thanksgiving for like 4 or 5 days after Thanksgiving. I don't like to use my timeouts. I just like to hold on to them. I'm going to bring my game 1 timeouts, and I'm going to bring them to game 2 and see if I can add them to those.
Yeah, I like to hold my timeouts. I mean, I could keep, I didn't want to get 1 timeout at the end of the game, 1 or 2 point game. I try to hold them.
Yeah, good call. Your team was only getting murdered during a 30-8 run. We don't need a timeout. I just like to hold on to them. I know my guys are out there dying, but whatever. I understand that James Harden is getting torched by Jalen Brunson, but I'm going to hold on to these. I'm going to take them back to the hotel room, and then I'm going to sneak them back into the arena for Game 2 on Thursday, and I'm going to see if I can add them to the stash of timeouts I got for Game 2. And I might just keep all those 2 and bring them back for Game 3. Come on, clown. So Kenny Atkinson, not exactly inspiring confidence into Cavs Nation. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. What's going on, my friends? It's now 4 o'clock. Chris Haynes is reporting that Jeff Van Gundy has emerged as a finalist for the Trailblazers head coaching position. The team has asked permission to speak with him. He's currently an assistant with the Clippers. NBA playoffs tonight. We got the Eastern Conference Finals Game 2 from Madison Square Garden. Cavs and Knicks. New York won Game 1 in overtime. Knicks are favored by 5. Tip-off on ESPN at 5 o'clock. OKC topped San Antonio in Game 2 last night to even up their Western Conference Finals at a game apiece. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 30 points and 9 assists. They'll shift now to San Antonio for Game 3 tomorrow. Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, Eastern Conference Finals. Game 1, Montreal at Carolina. That puck will drop at 5 on TNT. From the NFL, the Lions have re-signed linebacker Jack Campbell to a 4-year extension. Eagles linebacker Nolan Smith arrested in Georgia for reckless driving. He was clocked going 135 in a 70-mile-per-hour zone, and two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Busch has passed away at the age of 41. All right, jump on board. Telephone number 503-248-0620. I want to hear from you. Anything you want to talk about is fine by me. We can talk NBA playoffs. We got Knicks, Cavs coming up Game 2 at 5. We can discuss the opening night of Mandalorian. I'm going to go check it out coming up here after the show, so I'm excited about that. If you got any thoughts on Tom Dundon or any of the changes that have gone down since he's taken over, 503-248-0620. So feel free to jump on. I'd love to hear from you, 503-248-0620. We're going to hear from Bill Belichick. He needs to close his pie hole, too. Talking about Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers getting ready for his final season in the NFL, one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. So anything you want to talk about is fine by me, man. Let's do it. And also, a big happy birthday to our listener, Pat, in Portland. He informed us yesterday that his birthday is today. So, Pat, I hope you have a fabulous birthday. He is part of the Trailblazer fan base that is blind. And so he loves radio broadcasts and relies upon them for a description. You know, Travis Demers giving him descriptive play-by-play so he can follow the game and loves it. So, Pat, happy birthday, my friend. I hope that you have a great day. Let's go out to the phones. I want to hear from John. Let's go out to my favorite place, Gresham. John and Gresham, what's up, man? You're on the show. Fire away.
Hey, Chad. Yeah, I'd be happy with Gundy. I think he'd work out okay. Hey, I just want to let you know that I'm your AFC Charger enemy, right? But hey, getting back to Dundon, I hope he would give Cronin permission to maybe move Sharp and Grant in some of those picks and try to get Giannis. Don't you think that Giannis would give us a legitimate chance at the Western Conference?
Well, I think if you look at any player in the NBA that might have a decent chance at limiting at times maybe Wembanyama, I think Giannis would be the guy, right? This is what I know about, Giannis. It's very simple, John. It's like if you've got a chance to potentially acquire a player like that, you simply have to look into it. And I think, as you mentioned, the great thing about where the Blazers are at now with Joe Cronin is with some of the veteran contracts, whether it be Drew Holiday or Jeremy Grant, some of the young players they've acquired, guys like Shaedon Sharp, as you mentioned, and the draft picks that they have, because they've got all of Milwaukee's future draft picks, they would seem like a very good partner in a potential deal if they decide to go big game hunting for Giannis. And Giannis is – my only concern about Giannis is a couple of things. He's 31, so he's not a young player anymore. His game is predicated on athleticism, and I just hope that his body, how many more years of high-level play does he have? And it doesn't solve an issue of needing guys who can shoot the basketball. But outside of that, I love Giannis, and defensively on a guy like Wemby, maybe he gives you a bit of a chance against a freak like that.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good.
But don't go anywhere, John. Let's talk about something more important. You're a Charger fan. I'm a Bronco fan. So what do the Chargers need to get it right this year and make a deep run? What are they lacking?
Well, they've already bolstered they ended the season with 3 offensive linemen. They've signed now 14 offensive linemen. So protecting Herbert this year is not going to be an issue. And that you unlock Herbert with a creative offense of Mike McDaniel, and look out, baby. Sparks are flying. We've got 3 really, really good running backs. We've got with David Njoku, we've got 2 or 3 really good tight ends. The only thing we could end up with, it would be nice if we could snag a guy like, even though he's coming off an injury, Tyreek Hill, to bolster our receiving core. That would be incredible. But I really think that the Chargers, I've heard some predictions that they're going to win the AFC.
Well, how brutal is that division, man, with the Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers? That's pretty tough.
Oh yeah. Murders roll.
Well, it very well this year it could come down to 2 ex-Duck quarterbacks in Herbert and Bo Nix battling for division supremacy, man. I can't wait. I'm so excited for the football season.
The Raiders, they're going to win at least 7 games of it with their, draft picks and who they've got.
Oh, come on now. As a Charger fan, you can't even say that with a straight face. Come on. You know that they're not winning 7 games this year. Come on.
We'll see, brother. We'll see.
Oh, my gosh. All right, man. John, I appreciate the phone call. Have a good one. That's John. He's in support of sending out some of the assets to get Giannis. Like I mentioned before, not a great shooter. Game predicated on athleticism. He's 31. How much more does he have in his body? Does anyone out there know Giannis? Can you please ask him how many more years he thinks he's got of high-level play? Because if we're going to sacrifice a bunch of assets, I would like to at least know he's got 3, tremendous years left. But I could hear his Charger arrogance coming through the phones there. That was pretty annoying. I hate the division teams. Kansas City, the Raiders. He said the Raiders are going to win 7 games. I mean, come on, John. You're a Charger fan. You hate the Raiders. They're not going to win 7 games. Do we even know if the rookie quarterback's going to play game 1? Or are they going to put Kirk Cousins out there? I like the moves that they've made. Obviously as a Bronco guy, I love Kubiak. I love Gary. I love his son. I think Clint's going to do a good job as coach. The Raiders, oh my gosh. The Raider myopia, and just listen to Raider Mike anytime he talks. It's absurd. And the reason why is because basically my entire life, they have sucked. And yet every year I have Raider fans telling me that they're back, baby. We're back. And they've been a joke for so long. Like the last time they won a Super Bowl was back when I was 9 years old. I was still getting spanked in Manfred, Oklahoma in school when the Raiders won their last championship. Back when Marcus Allen had that ridiculous run against the Redskins in the Super Bowl. So that was pretty amazing. But since then, they've had what? 1 trip to the Super Bowl? 1, and they got slaughtered by Tampa Bay. And they probably did get screwed over by the NFL and the tuck rule. But yeah, the team for the most part has been bad. But they appear to have better leadership now. And we'll see what Mendoza can do. I really like Mendoza. I mean, I heard Kubiak yesterday say that he's as advertised. Well, what's he going to say right now? They're in mini camp. You going to say that he sucks? The only thing he can say is as advertised, but that's mostly against 7-on-7. So let's wait until we get into preseason and get some real game action in before we can say that someone is as advertised. Of course, Mendoza is going to look great in practice. I think Mendoza's got a chance to be great because, again, look at very similar to Bo Nix. I didn't think Bo Nix was going to be Bo Nix, or at least what we've seen in the NFL thus far, but he's got smarts, insane work ethic, a lot of experience coming out of college, but most importantly, you've heard me talk about this, and you guys who watch football, even you ladies out there, what's the most important thing that Mendoza possesses? I would say I'll give it, 3 things, in no particular order. Processing. So he's got the supercomputer dome where he can see things happen on the field, know what's going on with the defense, and be able to react to it. So that's important. So he's got the processor. Some quarterbacks have a slow processor. Some quarterbacks are on dial-up, but that's not Mendoza. And then he's got accuracy and also on-time delivery. On-time delivery, accurate with the football, and ability to process. And those are probably the 3 most important elements to high-level quarterback play. just based on what I can gather from talking to different quarterbacks or even Alex Brink. You have to be on time and on target, and you got to be able to process what the defense is doing, period. Hey, John, just be thankful that the Chargers' first 6 games of the year are not the Broncos' first 6 games of the year. It's brutal, the schedule. Every time I look at it, it just makes my stomach turn. It's like, really? Elsewhere in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers, apparently a big fan of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I love Mike T. I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity to come in last year and love my experience with him. And, I thought when he said he was stepping away, that was an emotional moment just because we all love him so much and care about him. And, I thought that that was probably it for me in Pittsburgh. But when the decision was made to hire Mike, I started opening my mind back up to coming back.
All right, so he was also asked about if this is his final year.
Could be your last year. Do you even think of that right now?
Yes. This is it, yeah.
Yes, this is it. All right, so there you go. Aaron Rodgers, 1 more year of play. This is going to be it for him. Also, Joe Burrow, he's experiencing Bengal myopia right now. He thinks this is the best roster he's been around in Cincinnati.
I think this is the most talented roster that we've had since I've been here. I just think we know where we needed to be better, and we went out and aggressively made it happen. And we filled some holes that we had from years past. Got better at a lot of positions. Signed the best free agent safety. Got the best D tackle in the league, in my opinion. We have a lot of depth now on the defensive line. That's exciting, not just for me, but for those guys, so they don't have to play as many snaps. You can have more of a rotation. So we have everything we need in that locker room. We just got to go and make it happen.
And he sounds like Raider Mike talking about the Raiders right now. Joe Burrow's out of control. I'm still suspect on their defense. And, hey, you're all worried about Tom Dundon and all the reports about him being cheap. Just thank God that the Trailblazers are not owned by the Brown family. That is the cheapest family in all of the NFL. So we'll see. But, man, that just goes to show you the AFC. Was I talking to you about this the other day? I mean, if you take a look at what they've got, what the conference has got in terms of teams, I mean, it is absolutely insane. Just look at the AFC right now. So I was just talking with John and Gresham. Denver, Kansas City, and the Chargers, 3 contenders for the conference. In the South, you've got Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. In the North, you've got Baltimore, Cincy, and Pittsburgh. And in the East, you've got Buffalo and New England. So what is that, like 11 teams? That's a lot. So the competition in the conference is fierce. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Rip City Drive. You can jump on board 503-248-0620. Jeff Van Gundy, as reported by Chris Haynes, one of the finalists for the head coaching position with the Trailblazers, and the team has reached out for permission to speak with him, currently an assistant with the LA Clippers. All right, just got a text message from my man Dave. He said, "Hi, Chad. I 100% agree with you on Coach Atkinson. He saves all his timeouts for the end. What good is that when a team only needs one timeout at the end? He needs to call timeouts to break up the momentum." Hey, Atkinson, that is coaching 101. Even a commoner like me can figure that out. Harden was bricking threes and was the usual defenseless against the New York point guard who was torching him. Atkinson should have pulled Harden, who always seems to choke in playoff pressure situations. If Harden was pulled, then Cleveland probably wins that game. Yeah, it was a coaching disaster. And then Atkinson's comments after the game were a disaster on multiple levels. It's like, Coach, what are you doing? Nothing? Because it sure seems like you're doing nothing out there. I'm not even sure which clip is my favorite. Here he is talking about how he likes to hold on to timeouts, like somebody went through the Great Depression and he's afraid to spend anything.
Yeah, I like to hold my timeouts. I mean, I didn't want to get one timeout at the end of the game, 1 or 2 point game. I try to hold them.
Yeah, hold on to them. We don't want to use a tourniquet to stop the bleeding, so we're just going to let our team die out there on the floor as Jalen Brunson's going crazy. But this is what I really love here. He talks about how the Knicks got lucky as his team gave up a 30-8 run and blew a 22-point lead with 7 minutes to go, and then said he was super proud of his guys. Not just proud of them, but super proud. After they choked away a 22-point lead in 7 minutes of game action.
They hit some really tough shots in that fourth quarter. Those 2 threes, prayer threes, end of shot clock. And we got a little unlucky, quite honestly. Brunson obviously took over at the end, and we started double teaming them and try to do some different things. But listen, I'm super proud of the way our group played. We played great basketball tonight for 3 quarters. Unfortunately, fourth quarter they dominated us in the fourth quarter.
Super proud of my guys for blowing a 22-point lead. Well, bad takes come in threes. Take a listen to this. Of all the regrets, he only had one. It wasn't about holding out to his timeouts and not using a tourniquet timeout to stop the bleeding. It wasn't about leaving James Harden on the floor and letting him get ripped up in those switch situations where Brunson was headhunting him. It was, we could have used a little more ball movement.
If my only regret, this can happen when you get a little fatigue, I think it just stopped moving. We were pinging the ball all over the place, great ball movement, and then it just got a little stagnant. And I told the guys, I said, we played great basketball the majority of the game. Just the ball stuck at the end there a little bit. Got to keep trusting the pass. But I also said we got a ton of great looks that didn't go in. So we'll look at it. I think decisions got to be better, especially when we get fatigued. Sometimes we tend to want to, put our heads down too much. Just got to find the open guy.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach. My only regret, it's not about leaving Harden on the floor. It's not that I held on to timeouts I should have used to stop the bleeding. It's not about my team blowing a 22-point lead with 7 minutes to go. I just felt like the ball stuck a little bit. I mean, come on, Coach. Do you realize how bad you have to be to make Mike Brown look like a genius? He is making Mike Brown look like Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich out there because he's so inept. And he's probably been outcoached in every series thus far, and yet somehow, some way, he finds himself in the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, my goodness. I don't understand. You think he's going to hold on to those timeouts tonight? I just hope he tries to bring the timeouts from Game 1 back to the arena tonight to see if he can stuff those in and get extra timeouts. He wouldn't use them, but at least he would have them. He's like a preparer. He's got like a basement. He's got his canned foods down there, his extra timeouts. He's preparing for the apocalypse. Hey, Kenny, use a timeout. Get Harden off the floor. If he's getting murdered out there, you might want to do something about it. But the biggest question I have about this series is what Donovan Mitchell said. Was that loss just a loss, or was it more than just a loss?
It's one loss. It's a bad loss, but all we can do is go back and watch the film and fix it. It's one game. We could have lost by 40. Still would have been 1-0. So we just watched the film. We played, pretty solid for 3 quarters or so. We'll make adjustments and go from there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that because it's not just a loss. You're up by 22 points with 7 minutes to play, and you blew it in overtime. And now you got to wonder, too, after that letdown, is the fatigue from playing back-to-back 7-game series going to kick in tonight in this game number 2 at Madison Square Garden? And the other problem is that they've got to win a road game in New York to be able to win the series. Are they going to get another look like the one they had in Game 1? I don't think so. I think that was more than just one loss. I agree with that premise in most situations where if you lose a 2-point game or you get blown up by 40, who cares? You move on. It's a 7-game series. You got a chance to recover. But I think emotionally, that type of meltdown where you had a game in hand that you should have won. We all thought it was over. I certainly did. And then when I checked the score, I'm like, what in the world's going on? I flipped it back on when it was a 5-point game. 30-8 run. I think that was the largest comeback in the fourth quarter we had seen in the playoffs, like 30 years? That doesn't happen very often. A great finish, though. And credit to the Knicks. They continued to battle. They could have just shut it down, but they didn't. They continued to battle. And that's what happens. A guy gets hot, and then all of a sudden you go on a run, and they start to believe that they can get back in the game, and they certainly did. It was weird to watch the Cavs tighten up. And Coach Atkinson is right. The ball did start to stick because their movement on offense for just over 3 quarters was sensational. They had the Knicks all mixed up. They were finding open corner threes. Good job by, Donovan Mitchell. And I really like those two bigs, Mobley. The Cavs bigs in the middle, really good players. They got good hands. They can catch around the basket and finish. Good passers. They've just got some unique players, so it should be a good game tonight. And again, I'm all about the drama. I wouldn't mind if Cleveland won because that would extend the series. But if New York is able to grab the game tonight, it could end up being like a 5-game series. So we'll see what the Cavs got. We're going to find out a lot about Cleveland and their makeup and what they've got to offer tonight. Now, last night, you remember going into the game, we were talking about physicality. Game 2, last night, Oklahoma City and San Antonio. The Spurs took Game 1 in double overtime after Victor Wembanyama had 41 points, 24 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And he hit that ridiculous 3 to tie the game in that first overtime, which allowed them to extend the game, get into a second overtime, and they got the win. But Oklahoma City bounced back and got the win last night. And it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who led the way with 30 points and 9 assists. But I thought the key to the game was Hartenstein and the physicality that he showed on Wemby. And it wasn't the type of physicality where you're used to, where it was Wemby with the basketball and you've got guys just bodying up on him and dropping a forearm on him and trying to rough him up. But what he was doing is that even when Wemby didn't have the basketball, he was clutching and grabbing, and it really disrupted the Spurs' ability on the rebounding department. And I think there was only like a 4-rebound difference in Game 2 after the Spurs dominated the glass in Game 1. So Hartenstein getting physical, a lot of clutching, a lot of grabbing, and frustrating Wemby to where he wasn't to be as effective as he was in Game 1 on the glass, I thought was a big difference. So they got more physical with Wemby, which is what you're going to need. What I'm curious about, how are the officials going to call that in Game 3 going back to San Antonio? Will they continue to allow Hartenstein the clutching and the grabbing to frustrate Wemby, or are they going to call the game a little bit tighter? But I thought that was a good adjustment, and Oklahoma City kind of showed their championship mettle and continued to battle. The Spurs are right there, though. I mean, those guys, those young guards, Castle and Harper, so tough. And those Oklahoma City guards, the smaller guards, they rely on those small guards to be able to switch and defend, and they do a good job. But the problem is the Spurs guards, those young guards, Castle and Harper, they're so big and so strong, they're just able to overpower the Thunder guards and get to their spots down low. And they're getting point-blank shots. I mean, it is amazing. And the Spurs, whether it's Keldon Johnson or Vassell or Harper or Castle, a lot of guys have stepped up to make big shots from 3. So I'm really looking forward to Game 3. I think this is a great series. Nice bounce-back effort from Oklahoma City and a good job defensively getting physical with Wemby and taking him a bit out of his game. Now, he's going to be a factor throughout, and the Spurs are going to make adjustments, and we'll see that in Game 3. But I thought the Thunder did a pretty good job in Game number 2, and after the game, Shai Gilgeous had a chance to talk.
I don't know too much right now. Obviously, if we don't have him, it hurts. I still believe in this team, though. Like you said, we played a bunch of games without him, won big games without him. So I still think we can get the job done. But yeah, losing a guy like that, caliber player like that, no matter how good your team is, otherwise it hurts a little bit. And also for him, as just like a human being, he's had a tough year with injuries.
All right, so Jalen Williams, hamstring, he's listed day to day. They're going to need him if they're going to win this series. Shea also talked about slowing down Wemby.
I'm not sure if it was good, to be honest. Yeah, it was all right. It was good. It was good. We wanted to switch it up, give him different looks. Yeah, that's what it's about. When you play against good players, you got to switch it up, make sure the rhythm's not the same, and we did that tonight.
And Shea, of course, 30 points, 9 assists, but he's looking to be more efficient than what we saw in Game 2.
I wasn't as efficient as I wanted to be down the stretch with my movements, my energy, but nonetheless, we got a W. That's all you can ask for. Now we got to go on the road against a really good team and go get one.
Now, as you know, the Thunder are really good at creating turnovers, and they created kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of chaos out there, and it resulted in a number of Spurs turnovers. And Victor talked about that after the game.
I mean, we didn't do a great job at it today, but we need some poise for sure. Taking care of the ball, helping the main ball handlers, and being aggressive, just like we were in the third quarter.
All right, so I think I like the Spurs in Game 3. I mean, from what I've seen through the first 2 games, like the Thunder, great job of bouncing back last night, but I just think that this series and the way it's setting up right now, like this is a tall order for the Thunder. It is a difficult matchup for them, and I think the Spurs going back home will get Game 3, and that will set us up for an all-important game number 4 on Sunday in San Antonio. But, man, the Spurs are tough. I just continue to be impressed with the way their young guys continue to perform in these pressure-packed situations. And they've been doing it throughout the course of the entire playoff run. I keep expecting it to run out or these guys to fall up on hard times, but it's not happening. They just continue to battle and fight. And they're getting the job done. It's impressive, and their coach is doing a heck of a job. But you look at these teams now, whether it's New York or it's San Antonio or it's Oklahoma City or even Cleveland, the way that these teams play together, trust one another, they're connected on both ends of the floor. The Cavs not as much as the other 3, but I like that type of team basketball where you got guys playing for one another, you got the intensity there, guys are battling. It's pretty nice. We got the report from Chris Haynes. If you're just joining me, Jeff Van Gundy has emerged as a finalist for the head coaching position for the Portland Trail Blazers. He was an assistant with the Clippers last year. Of course, a longtime announcer with ESPN and ABC. And he's had a lot of success in the league. So Jeff Van Gundy, the Blazers have reached out to ask for permission to speak with him. So he's a finalist, and there you have it. I highly doubt that Jeff Van Gundy would take that job for $1 million. I'm just saying. Or 1.5. You're probably going to have to pay Jeff Van Gundy a decent pile of cash to get him to come in and coach the team. All right, let's go out to the phones. I believe his birthday was last night. Did he survive? He must have because he's on the phones. Raider Mike is with us. How was birthday night, Raider Mike?
It was fantastic. Fantastic. No, I'm building up steam and energy, taking power naps.
That's great.
There's a couple of festivals I'm going to sing at this weekend, and loving Nashville and not loving my new Blazer owner. Two-way players don't get to travel on road games. What is going on? We went from Jody, penguin skulls, giraffe bones, to this guy. Now, I'm in Carolina. He owns the Hurricanes, who are looking wicked in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
So where am I going to stand there, Chad? Can he do that with us?
Well, the good thing is about Dundon is what you just mentioned. It's like he's not an unknown. He's got a track record with the Hurricanes, and it's nothing but success. And so that's where I have my hope is that, once he applies his formula in Portland and has a chance to make some decisions and his desire to win, I mean, he's had great success with the Hurricanes. I have no reason to believe it's not going to work in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a weird dichotomy, bro. I don't know what to do with it yet.
Well, we just
Why
wait.
Do Spurs keep winning the goddamn lottery.
It sucks.
I mean, can you imagine him on Portland now? I mean,
They were one combination away from getting Wemby. One combination from getting Wemby. It would have changed the entire fortune of the franchise moving forward.
Well, you know our history. Jordan, Bowie, I mean, it's painful to be a Blazer fan, but even when Vegas gets their NBA team, I'm still going to remain in Portland, even though my A's, my Knights, my Raiders are all in Vegas. So, you know.
Out of curiosity, how many games do you think the Raiders are going to win this year?
I'm going to go 8 to 9 and might sneak in. Chad, you laugh. You got to remember, we owned you for 5 years. 8
to 9 games.
We destroyed.
And when you say sneak in, I assume you're talking about the postseason. So they're going to win 8 to 9 and possibly sneak into the playoffs.
Maybe. I doubt it.
Okay.
I don't care. I just need progress. I got my coach. I got a 12 personnel set with Bowers and Myers that is going to go Hernandez and Gronk on you. We got Ashton, who's finally going to have a line. He got 1,000 yards with getting hit every time he touched the ball before he got to the line. Wait till he has a line that blows people up like Linderbaum and Colton Miller's back and JPJ, who's got that nasty in him. So, yeah, we're coming.
All right.
And Max is back. The Condor's back. He's not extinct. He's still alive in Vegas, not living in a cave. He's back to kill people. You shine him on out at Baltimore like that? Oh, God. He already had the biggest chip on his shoulder.
I love Max. I love him.
Max is my hero. It's the only jersey I wear until my Dozer jersey gets in the mail. That was my birthday present to myself. My new Mendoza. Fernando! Yes. We're happy in Vegas, baby. And we're coming for you, Walmart. We're coming for you, bro. Love the show.
Bring it on.
I miss you,
man. All right, man. Appreciate you. I miss you. Happy birthday, buddy. There's Raider Mike. What did I tell you about Raider myopia? It's absurd. I just asked Raider Mike, how many games do you think the Raiders are going to win? Keep in mind, they're the worst team in the AFC West. He said 8 or 9 and possibly sneak in. That's not happening. Okay, Raider Mike. I'm glad you had a great birthday, but man, it's just like, settle down. 8 or 9 and sneak into the playoffs. The Raiders are not winning 8 or 9 games this year, and they're not sneaking into the postseason. 6 of your games are against the Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers. Okay? John and Gresham started this, too. He's like, don't forget about the Raiders, Chad. They might win 7 games this year. My ass. Come on. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Raider myopia, my whole life, has been alive and well. Raider Mike is the prime example. 8 or 9 and sneak into the playoffs. And I've got other Raider fans hit me up, too. I know 2 wins they're going to get this year. And he means the Broncos. Get out of here. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can reach out and jump on board if you'd like. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday. Man, it was a spectacular morning. Great golfing morning this morning. Temperature is a little bit chilly at 650, but the sun was out. The conditions were near perfect, and man, loving it so much. So hope you're enjoying your day. We got a couple of games coming up here. Eastern Conference Final in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Carolina and Montreal. That puck will drop at 5. It's going to be on TNT. And then you've got the Knicks and the Cavs at 5 o'clock on ESPN, game number 2 from Madison Square Garden. So I guess I'm pulling for the Knicks. I want to see them in the NBA Finals. And I really don't know who I'm pulling for in the Western Conference Finals. I guess probably San Antonio, just so I can watch more of Wemby. To see more of him and to see him on that stage, that'd be a lot of fun. But I don't have any, like personal interests. I'm just into the storylines and the drama. And then, like with the Cavs and Knicks in Game 1, it was amazing. Like the meltdown by the Cavs, the unbelievable comments by Kenny Atkinson after the game, and then just the play of Jalen Brunson in that fourth quarter. Like Brunson's one of those guys I just admire. I love watching him play. Undersized guard who is much stronger than he looks. Very stout for a short guy. But his ability to get to his spots in the painted area and then have an array of shots that he can make. And he can do it with touch. Like he has to shoot over the top of some big guys. But his understanding of angles and how to get his shot off, I admire him. Now, it's funny, we make fun of James Harden for getting ripped on defense, and he certainly did. He was being hunted by Jalen Brunson. But, Brunson's one of those guys, too, where the Cavs, they're headhunting him. It's one of those downsides to guys like Brunson or great scorers we've seen like Harden. Like Brunson is, he can be attacked because he's undersized. He's not a great defender. And, the Knicks understand that, so they try to protect him. But he can be exposed, too. And we'll see how the response. We'll see if James Harden can have a bounce-back game. There's been a couple of times in the playoffs where I've been waiting for the full-on Harden playoff meltdown. But he's been able to recoup and bounce back. He had a couple of big games against Detroit when his team needed him most. So, I got to give him credit. He hasn't completely, just crapped out like we've seen in the past. But he certainly had a rough Game 1. But the Knicks, a lot of fun to watch. I really like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Two long guys, two-way players. They do it on both ends. I like those guys a lot. And Mitchell Robinson, I hate when he's on the floor because teams will go to the hack of Robinson and they put him on the foul line. He is absolutely brutal from the foul line. It's so bad to watch. And I feel bad for him because he knows he sucks at the line and he's been working at it, or at least that's what they're telling me, and he still puts up bricks. The ball looks so uncomfortable coming out of his hand. It's like a line drive. It's just back of there and boing. Oh, man, it's so bad. But his energy on the offensive glass, his rebounding, his shot blocking, he does a lot of good things when he's out there. But, the Cavs were using that Hacker Robinson strategy, especially in that second half in the third quarter. They were doing it because he's on the floor trying to give some spell to Karl Anthony Towns. So it's like, okay, let's not allow the Knicks to get into a rhythm. Let's put Robinson on the foul line. And they did that. And it worked. But then, of course, he comes out of the game, Cat comes in, and then, the Knicks able to go on that fourth quarter run. It's pretty crazy. The big news locally, Chris Haynes is reporting that Jeff Van Gundy is a finalist for the Trailblazers coaching job. The team, according to Haynes, has reached out, asked for permission to speak with him. And so, that's we were talking earlier with Alex Silverman from Sports Business Journal. Obviously, getting the arena situation handled is, the big objective right now for Tom Dundon. But in the short term, it's the head coaching hire. Who the coach is going to be, who are they going to hire, how many different candidates have they spoken to, and ultimately who's going to get the job. And as I've said, I feel the same way about it today as I did in the beginning, is that, if Tiago Splitter is the right guy for the job, hire him. Cast your net, do your search, and if you come across somebody that you find that's a better fit for what you believe your team is and what you're trying to accomplish, hire that coach. And to me, it's irrelevant about the experience, whether you have a lot of experience or you don't. You just find the guy that you believe is the right fit for you. That's the most important thing to me. And like I said, or what I've talked about with the coaching search, I love the fact that they're casting a wide net because it gives you a chance, one, to talk to many different candidates who are going to give you intel on your team and your organization and how they see it, which is going to help you long term. And that could be very helpful for a guy like Tom Dundon, who's trying to learn more about the NBA as he, takes on this responsibility as owner of the Trailblazers. Also, when you cast a wide net, you end up talking to people that maybe you wouldn't have beforehand, but because you decided to cast a wide net, you talk to all these different candidates, and you might come across someone that blows your socks off, and that you didn't know was going to blow your socks off, but does, and maybe you find an unknown source or unlikely source that turns out to be the right fit for the coach. And then if you go through the entire search and you determine that Tiago Splitter's the right guy, then at least you've strengthened his position because you've talked to all these other candidates and come back to the fact that for where you're at, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you want to do, you believe Tiago Splitter's the right guy. So I just think it's a big win for the Trailblazers. And obviously I'm a fan of Van Gundy. He's got a lot of coaching experience, and he's had great success. He understands the game. I think he's a bit of a teacher. And, I wouldn't mind seeing him, after some time away from the game as a head coach, to get back into that position. And he comes from a family of coaches, so obviously he lives it, he breathes it, everything. So very interesting to me. And then again, I didn't, there's so many guys who are available right now. Thibodeau being one, Van Gundy being one. There's so many guys out there who are available. I had just forgotten about Van Gundy. But I knew he was an assistant with the Clippers because I remember, thinking about him and seeing him in those two late games in the season the Blazers played against the Clippers when they got wins. The Van Gundy was there and active, and I've always found him to be very, very interesting. And I feel like I got a chance to know him a little bit better like you did as an announcer. He and Mark Jackson and Breen I thought were really good together. Really good. All right, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can jump on board. I'd love to hear your voice. Whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. Knicks and Cavs tip-off here at the top of the hour. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, 5 o'clock. What's up, my friends? According to Chris Haynes, Jeff Van Gundy has emerged as a finalist for the Trailblazers head coaching position. The team has asked permission to speak with him. He was an assistant with the Clippers last year. Playoffs tonight, Eastern Conference Finals Game 2 from Madison Square Garden. The Cavs and Knicks. New York took Game 1 in overtime. They're favored by 5 tonight. That game's going to be on ESPN. Last night, Oklahoma City over San Antonio in Game 2 to even up the Western Conference Finals at a game apiece. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had 30 points and 9 assists. Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Puck drops here in a couple of minutes on TNT. Montreal at Carolina. From the NFL, the Lions have re-signed linebacker Jack Campbell to a 4-year extension. And sad news out of NASCAR. Two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Busch has died at the age of 41 following a severe illness. Yeah, you might want to turn that up just a little bit, Michael Shacker.
Alert.
All right, coming up in 20 minutes, I'm going to have a conversation about a really cool event that's coming up with Jared Lambert, Bridge to Kids. And it's a big-time pro-am with kids, a competitive golf event raising money for Bridge to Kids, an organization which gives money to charities supporting vulnerable children. Charities supported in 26 are going to be New Avenues for Youth, Friends of Children, and the Dougie Center. So we're going to talk about that coming up in 20 minutes. Your telephone number, if you want to reach out to me, and of course I'm always welcome to talk with you, 503-248-0620. You can reach out. You can talk. Anything you want to talk about is fine by me. I am broadcasting today from an undisclosed location. And tonight, when the show is over, I'm going to go check Mandalorian, which is in theaters now. Tonight is the kind of the premiere night, and it's going to be in theaters tomorrow. But this is the first night where you can go and watch it in the theater, and I can't wait. I'm excited about it. It's not too often in today's world where a movie comes out and I'm like, I got to go see that in the theater when it opens, but this is one of those movies. I'm a big Mandalorian fan. I love the characters. I love Grogu. I was very happy when I had a chance to meet Mando and Grogu in Star Wars Land down at Disneyland. I thought that was pretty dope. But I think this movie is going to be great. Now, Michael Shacker, also like me, is a big Star Wars fan. He's a little bit concerned based on some of the reviews that are out there. But what I've learned is with movies that I love, a lot of times the reviews are bad, and I still enjoy the movie. The great thing about not being a bright guy like myself is that I don't overthink things. I can just go and sit down and enjoy the movie for what it is. I just want to be entertained. I don't get caught up in the minutia about this or that or how this doesn't match up to the books or whatever. My brain's not that in-depth. I just sit back and enjoy it, man. That's what it's about. So I'm looking forward to it. So Mandalorian tonight. Got to make a late trip to the airport tonight. My parents are coming back in from Chicago. They went out to watch Cole's graduation. He is my brother's son, and, of course, my brother passed away in December. So I was happy that my parents had a chance to go out and spend time with him. I know that my parents are concerned. You know, he's still going through his grieving process, and I guess from what I've heard, he's doing fine, and he's a really sharp young man. He's just not talking about, his dad that much. Like, he doesn't want to talk about it. And frankly, I understand. I wouldn't want to talk about it either. That's traumatic. I mean, I can't imagine, because I haven't gone through it, right? Losing your dad at a young age like that. So Dad wasn't there for graduation. Dad's not going to be there for any more of the big moments in life as they come along. And, I'm very thankful that my father's still alive. And, I share a great relationship with him, and I love the conversations. I can call him up and ask him questions. I can't imagine being Cole and having to go through that, without his dad. So I feel for him, but I'm glad my parents had a chance to go back as he finishes up high school and now moves on to the next phase of his life. And so I had my buddy Duke, the UPS driver, reach out to me, and he was asking me different questions about what I decided with him and, everything that's going on. He said, so did you offer your mentorship? Curious what you did for his graduation. I said, I sent him $200 cash and offered him my mentorship. And he said, well done. Don't be afraid to have an impact on his life. For all you know, he may look up to you and brag about you all the time. And he goes, I'll take Stan, meaning Stan Van Gundy, over Romo all day. They're two of the worst. Tony Romo is a complete disaster behind the microphone, talking over the top of Jim Nantz. They got to drug him up again. They need to put Romo back on drugs. He's out of control, and he butchers Jim Nantz's call, and that's not a good thing. I have never seen a man love another man the way that Jim Nantz loves Tony Romo. To have the patience and the care for Romo, even when he's crazy in the box the way he is, it's amazing. Jim Nantz loves Romo. That's a serious bromance going on right there. And Romo's crazy. He is crazy, and I knew it from the get-go when everyone's like, oh, Romo, he knows the play before it's going to happen. Right away, I was annoyed by him. Stan Van Gundy's just got diarrhea of the mouth. It's like, Stan, can you please close your pie hole, okay? Quit talking over the top of your play-by-play guy, and quit having a voice that sounds like you just drink a glass of sand. Is that too much to ask? Apparently it is, because you won't shut up. But then again, I like Reggie Miller, so what do I know? But I appreciate it, Duke. Thank you for the care. And there you have it. That's what's going on. And looking forward to the playoff games. Really looking forward to this Thunder series, getting back to San Antonio tomorrow to see if the Thunder have a response on the road. I don't know. I like the Knicks tonight, but I'm curious to see what type of Cavs performance we're going to get. And it all goes back to that one comment from Donovan Mitchell. It's just one game. Hey, look, man, it's just a game. It's just one game. And I want to know if that one game is more than just a loss.
It's one loss. It's a bad loss, but all we can do is go back and watch the film and fix it. It's one game.
It's one game.
We could have lost by 40. Still would have been 1-0. So we just watched the film. We played, pretty solid for 3 quarters or so. We'll make adjustments and go from there.
All right. So just like in game 1, we had the rust versus rest. You got the rust. Would you rather, have played a game 2 days before like Cleveland did against Detroit? Well, New York was rusty because they played 3 quarters of horrendous basketball before they screwed their dome on straight and then caught fire in the 4th quarter. What I don't know is what's the mental, emotional impact from that loss in game 1? Because it's not just another game. It was one of the most historic comebacks in NBA history in a 4th quarter in a playoff game. So is that one game going to have a lasting impact on the Cavs, knowing that they had a good look at getting a win on the road in game 1, up 22 with 7 minutes to go, and they blew it? Like, is it going to carry over? I don't know. Athletes are pretty good at compartmentalizing and moving on from things. It's just kind of built into their DNA. But I just wonder if you're coming off a 2 7-game series, and they had, 3 games in 2 games or 3 games, 3 games in 3 different cities in 4 days, 5 days? They're in Cleveland, then they're in Detroit, and then they're in New York. And that's really what it was. It was like was that Saturday? It's like Thursday, Saturday, Monday or something like that. And then you got 3 different games, 3 different cities. So is the fatigue going to kick in tonight? Like, are they going to regret blowing that 22-point lead, or are they going to come out and just try to make a statement like, hey, we screwed up, we're here to play, and we're going to get the job done tonight? My guess is it's going to cost them, and the Knicks are going to win tonight. That'd be my guess. But we'll find out. Maybe Donovan Mitchell's right. Maybe it's just one game. I mean, he was real clear in trying to get that point across. Just one game. So we'll see. Now, as for Kenny Atkinson, I got no answers for this guy. Based on his Game 1 performance, I don't have high hopes for Kenny Atkinson. We know he's not going to use any timeouts. He obviously feels pretty good about James Harden defense because he kept him in the game as he was getting torched. And he doesn't have many regrets. I mean, he was super proud. He said he was super proud of his team's performance in Game 1. Can you imagine what he would have said if they won that game? Unbelievable.
They hit some really tough shots in that fourth quarter. Those 2 threes, prayer threes, end of shot clock. I think we got a little unlucky, quite honestly. Brunson obviously took over at the end, and we started double teaming them and try to do some different things. But listen, I'm super proud of the way our group played. We played great basketball tonight for 3 quarters. Unfortunately, fourth quarter, they dominated us in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, at least you're super proud of your guys for blowing a 22-point lead with 7 minutes to go. That's nice. That's the type of coach I want to play for right there. You could go out there and stink up the joint, and Coach Atkinson's going to be super proud of you. Can you imagine being his son and you take the report card to him? You got a couple of D's and fails on there. Here, Dad, can you sign this? Son, I'm super proud of you for failing half your courses. That's too much. All right, so that double overtime game on Monday with the Spurs and Thunder, the one big area, aside from Wemby's just ridiculous game, the rebounding difference was significant. The Spurs in the double overtime game had 61 rebounds. 61. Like, that is a huge number. They had a plus 21 advantage in rebounding, so 61 to 40 edge. So they were getting dominated on the glass. That's a problem. And the Thunder, they need some second chance points to be able to have an opportunity. But last night, when you talk about adjustments and the way that the Thunder were able to utilize their physicality to have some edge, some advantage, a 45-41 edge. So they went from plus 21 to plus 4 in rebounding. And Wembanyama in game number 2 played 37 minutes. He had 21 points, 17 boards, 6 assists. He had 4 turnovers, 4 blocks. But again, what they did that was great, the physicality that we saw from Hartenstein, and they were only plus 2 in the minutes that Hartenstein was on the floor. But again, what he did that was great was the clutching, the grabbing. Like, he did a good job of irritating Wembanyama, but he did a lot of it when Wembanyama didn't even have the ball in his hands. He was clutching and grabbing, and it prevented Wemby from getting into a good position on the offensive glass to where he could really make an impact. I credit the Thunder for coming up with the game plan and using a bigger body on Wemby, but most importantly, Hartenstein just getting physical with him. And 27 minutes for Hartenstein last night, 27 for Chet Holmgren. But Hartenstein played a good game, but he did a good job of clutching, grabbing, getting physical with Wemby, and that prevented Wemby from being as dominant in the paint and on the offensive glass as he was in game number 1. So, I wonder what the adjustment would be. How would they make things work? And they found a way to get it done. So, and we'll see how things work out. I have a sense that the Spurs are going to do quite well in game 3 at home, and that'll set up a monster game number 4. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We got the Cavs and the Knicks, which are coming up on ESPN. Game number 2 from Madison Square Garden. All right, we'll keep things rolling. We're going to come back and talk about Bridge to Kids. I love it. Competitive youth golf tournament. And The Mandalorian is in theaters. Go check it out. I'm going to give a full report to Shacker to let him know if he needs to go to the theater or not. 503-248-0620. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, joining us now on the Rip City Drive is the head golf pro at Astoria Golf and Country Club. To talk about Bridge to Kids, it's Jared Lambert. Jared, good afternoon. I appreciate taking time to join the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So how are things looking out at Astoria Golf Club right now? The weather's been so nice. I was on the course this morning, and, it looks like we're going to get a nice push of sunshine here in May heading into June. But how's the course shaping up right now?
I'm really hoping so. Out here on the coast, surprisingly sunny. We've had a great spring. The golf course is in great shape, and business has been really good. We've had a lot of members out enjoying the great run of weather we've had, and I think we're getting another great stretch ahead of us.
Well, what's great about Bridge to Kids, I was thinking about this on the course. I went out to play as a single this morning, and I got paired up with a gentleman who was terrific. He was from Korea. He had lived in Beaverton for an extended period of time. So I met him for the very first time. But as we were playing, we were talking about the beauty of the game and how you can play it for life and how I can still go out and play with my dad who's older. He can do the same thing. And I just love how golf is a life game, Jared. And once you get kids involved in it and they understand the beauty of it, then you can help grow that love and desire for the game to where we can keep people on the course for a lifetime. That's part of the beauty of the game, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's the one game that you can play from, a very young age, even as young as 3 or 4, all the way into your 80s and sometimes into your 90s. I've seen some guys still going at it. It's just an incredible game, and a game where you also get to meet all kinds of different people from all walks of life. It's just a fantastic way to get involved in the community and to meet all kinds of people.
No doubt about it. All right, Bridge to Kids. Everyone who's listening, you go to bridge2kids.org and check out the website right now. But Jared, why don't you give us the background? How was Bridge to Kids formed, and what is the overall mission and idea behind the organization?
Yeah, so the mission behind Bridge to Kids is to be an organization that passes money through to charities who are, providing demonstrated positive outcomes in the lives of underprivileged and underserved youth. We have had a charity golf event for, going on about 8 years now, I believe, and we've experienced some awesome growth this year. So the main fundraiser that we have is through the Bridge to Kids Charity Pro-Am, and that's taking place on June 8th and 9th at the Reserve Golf and Vineyards. So this year we're up to 60 teams participating, which is awesome. In previous years we've had anywhere from 35 to 40 teams. And so we're seeing some big momentum into the event this year, which is just fantastic. This year we're expecting to raise around $800,000, and we're supporting New Avenues for Youth, Friends of the Children, and the Dougie Center for 2026. In each of these charities are selected each year. We have interviews with the boards and leaders of those organizations, and our purpose is just to put money in the hands of people who are already doing great work and allow them to continue on with their mission.
That is terrific. And, through your time with the organization, what's been the overall reaction of the kids and the teams and the people that get to participate?
Well, obviously, it's a very, very positively received, and I think people are grateful. But there's also, again, the growth of this last year, I think, shows the positive feedback that we've received and the support from everybody involved. Golf is such a great game, as you and I talked about, for building that community and getting people even behind charitable causes. And I think that the group that we've got at Bridge to Kids, it's a cause that we take very seriously, and something that we've put a lot of time into. And so I'm just super happy with how we've been able to leverage relationships and the community into a cause that is extremely, extremely meaningful. Again, in supporting children in our community. I think everybody can get behind that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I know a lot of people who are looking for different ways that they can make a difference or different charities they can contribute to. And the one thing I've always come across is that normally you can get people behind supporting kids, which is great. I wanted to ask you, in terms of golf participation. I know a lot of people, especially since the pandemic, the golf business has really boomed. What have you noticed with not just overall participation, but mainly with young kids since the pandemic? Have you noticed a increase in youngsters who are picking up the game and learning how to play?
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of a trickle down. So, we saw this big push in younger adults starting the game 20s and 30s through the pandemic. And now with those young families, we're seeing those kids also take up the game. And so, I know for us at Astoria, we've had a big increase in our junior programming, which has been awesome to see. And something, in the golf industry now, our job is to take that positive momentum and keep everybody invested in the game now, right? Make sure they have a great time and make sure that they enjoy their time on the golf course as they want to keep coming back.
How challenging was it, because there's so many, great charities out there. How difficult was it for you guys to select the charities you wanted to partner with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that anytime you're like, we're picking through some groups that are really, really good at what they do. And so I think the biggest thing for us, what it came down to more than anything, besides financial stewardship and again, positive outcomes with kids already, is just alignment with the mission. Trying to find charities that are focused on improving the lives of youth. That's not to say that there aren't other charitable causes that are extremely meaningful. It's just that we wanted to make sure that we were aligned with all of the charities that we did end up selecting in our mission.
All right. So, I would imagine, obviously there are ways people can contribute, obviously financially, which is great, but what are some other ways that people can, contribute to your cause and take part in what you guys are trying to accomplish with Bridge to Kids?
Yeah, so the easiest way by far is to participate in the event. We still have a couple openings and room to expand the field a little bit. Information on the tournament and to sign up and get on our mailing list can be found, like I said, at bridge2kids.org. It's a great event. We've got a cocktail party and a reception at Portland Golf Club on June 8th. With Larry Colton and Tim Boyle providing us with a speaking opportunity. And then the tournament takes place on June 9th at the Reserve Golf and Vineyards, which, if you haven't played, it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful property. Two great golf courses. And so, I would say that's the thing that we're looking for at this point. And in addition to that, one of the cool aspects of the tournament is that for golf professionals, it's also an extremely competitive event. It's something that fortunately that the golf professionals have really rallied behind. And for us, it's a great playing opportunity and a way to again support the community around us. And so some of the best playing professionals in Oregon and Washington are participating. And so that's a cool aspect of the event, as well as that you get to play with a golf professional who's very skilled and is out there competing.
I love that so much. We're talking with Jared Lambert, who is the head golf pro at Astoria Golf and Country Club, and he's also with Bridge to Kids. I wanted to ask you, I've had the same coach now for 6 years, and I love being a student and having someone I can go to learn the game and how to swing the club. And I'm wondering for you, how challenging is it when you're trying to teach a golf swing, which golf is an incredibly challenging game, but yet each student that you have may understand and hear things differently, even though you're trying to describe the same thing. So how challenging is it for you to try and get the message across when each individual learns differently?
Yeah, that's kind of the most important part of the lesson in a lot of ways, can be learning how your student learns, the right things to say to kind of get it to click. And like you say, a lot of times you're saying the same thing in different ways to try to find the one thought that works effectively for that individual. And I think that for me, it's a lot of just engaging in conversation before, and trying to kind of pick at whether consciously or subconsciously, that student has given you an opportunity to show how they the best way to communicate with them. It's just a lot of time and a lot of reps. I've definitely gotten better at it over the years. But for me, it's a fun challenge is learning the most effective way to communicate with somebody.
And how exciting is for that when someone that you're working with receives the message and then has success on the course, is able to come back and share that with you? I would imagine that's got to be thrilling for you.
It's the best. Oh, it's so great. Yeah. Nothing like getting a text message from somebody the day after a lesson or the week after a lesson, and it's a picture of their scorecard. That's best score of my life, or first eagle or first birdie or whatever it is. It's very, very fulfilling and extremely rewarding.
What are you working on in your own game right now? What are you focused on?
Well, I've got a new 7-month-old, so my focus is very much in just how to hone in my new dad game, my old man game. So there's a transition in life happening right now, and so great. I'm just trying to keep it on the tracks. So I'd say everything to some degree right now.
Now, is this a son or a daughter, Jared?
It's a daughter.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Go to the website, bridgetokids.org. The event's coming up at Reserve Golf and Vineyards June 8th and June 9th, and there's ways that you can participate and take part in the tournament. And you said there's still a couple of spots open for play, right?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, we've got opportunities for both teams to sign up and for individuals. So if you're just an individual that wants to participate and support a great cause, then please reach out and we will happily find a home for you.
All right, the charities supported this year are going to be New Avenues for Youth, Friends of the Children, and the Dougie Center. Jared Lambert, the head golf pro at Astoria Golf, with us here on the Rip City Drive. Jared, I really appreciate you taking time to share the good news about Bridge to Kids, and if there's anything you need from me to help support you in the future, you just let me know.
You're the man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, there you go. And congratulations. There's Jared. He's got a 7-month-old daughter. So his golf game is not exactly in tip-top shape right now, which is understandable. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Again, bridgetokids.org. I've got the NBA game on right now, and it's first quarter. The Cavs up early by a score of 20-19. 3:39 to play in that first quarter. 503-248-0000. Oh, darn it. All right, Michael. Sorry I didn't get to you, my friend. Michael and Oswego had a James Harden comment. There's a stoppage in play, so did Kenny Atkinson use a timeout? If so, that'd be a miracle. All right, so far the Cavs off to a decent start, and we'll see. We'll see how things continue to shake out. 8 points early for Evan Mobley. Karl Anthony Towns has 7 early points for the Cavs. But I like those bigs. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Jared Allen's cool. Like his game a lot. Mobley has 8. Allen has 6. Cavs shooting at 44%. The Knicks right now at 56%. So there you have it. The difference right now, the three-point line. Cavs 4 of 7 from beyond the arc, and the Knicks 1 of 6. But should be good the rest of the way. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. I think tomorrow night in that game 3 with the Thunder and Spurs, pay attention to how the refs call the game. Is Hartenstein going to continue to be able to get physical with Wembanyama? They did a great job of disrupting him enough last night. And it was good. And Wembanyama didn't complain after the game. He just said, hey, we got to take better care of the basketball.
I mean, we didn't do a great job at it today, but we need some poise for sure. Taking care of the ball, helping, the main ball handlers, and being aggressive just like we were in the third quarter.
All right, let's go out to Lake Oswego. Michael wants to chime in. Michael, appreciate the phone call, my friend. What's on your mind?
So, I know you're an ASU guy, and I'm an ASU alum, and I didn't think I'd ever call.
How about Hildebrand signing on? They got the top in-state recruit, the offensive lineman. Huge.
There we go. But I'm actually calling to defend an old ASU dog, James Harden. So people like to pile on Harden with his turnovers in the playoffs. Well, he averages 22 points a game in the playoffs, and the person that is ahead of him for turnovers in the career playoffs has played 2 more games than James has played right now. This person played 190 games. James has played 188 games. The person ahead of him has 36 more turnovers than James does right now. Do you want to guess who that person is? Who also this person averages 19 points a game in the career in the playoffs.
19
who has
points a game.
More turnovers, 19 points a game, but more turnovers by a fair amount.
I don't know. Who is it?
Magic.
Oh, Irvin. And so Magic played in 190 career playoff games?
Yep, and James has played in 188, and Magic has 36 more turnovers career than Harden has right now. And so, and he averaged 19 a game. Harden's 22 points a game. Those guys, they have tons of turnovers because they handle the ball more than anybody. And I'm not defending James. Harden's been a choke, in a lot of these games. But there's also, the argument that they wouldn't be anywhere without him. Most of these teams wouldn't be, this year's a little different. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that the dudes that handle the ball the most are the ones that turn over the most. You look at the regular season.
They got the higher usage rate. Yeah.
Yeah. The Brown from Boston led the regular season. But you look at Luka second, Harden's like fifth, for regular season turnovers. But that's because these guys always have the ball. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
And you know what it is, too? You know what it is, too, my friend? I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I think a lot of it has to do with perception, right? If James Harden had won a championship or if he had a ring, people wouldn't bash on him as much. It's all. I think sometimes players get labeled a certain thing, even if it's not necessarily 100% true, and that's just the label they carry with them. And in some cases, the only way to break that is to win a championship. So, if Harden's able to break through and win a title with the Cavs this year, a lot of that the labels that have been dropped on him would go away.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree, and I'm pulling for him. Just because I think it's kind of weak. I mean, you look at these guys. I mean, Kobe was way up there in turnovers in the playoffs. Shaq was way up there in turnovers in the playoffs. But they were winning. But I mean, Harden's played on good teams, but he wasn't playing on the Lakers, at their prime. So anyway,
no, that's a good point. No, I appreciate it, man. That's Michael on Lake Oswego, taking up for a Sun Devil. You got it. Yeah, man. Kenny Dillingham. Whew. My man, Kenny Dillingham killing it down there in the desert right now. They just got the top in-state recruit to commit to the program. They got donors coming up, stepping up to fund the program. Kenny Dillingham's the real deal. All right, we'll keep things rolling. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. And right now, watching a little B-ball, talking with you. Game 2, Knicks and Cavs, Madison Square Garden. Game tied at 24 with 33 seconds left in the first, and Mitchell Robinson's at the foul line. Line drive, brick. I knew that was coming. He knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming. All right, we'll come back. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. It's perfect. I just checked the theater that I'm going to go to watch Mandalorian. Only 18 seats have been purchased. It's a very good sign. I chose the theater I chose because it's a little more off the beaten path, and I knew less crowds. But, man, this is a totally different ballgame now with reserved seating. It's the ultimate game changer in theaters because when I was younger, when you wanted to go see a big movie, a big-time movie, you'd buy tickets, but the seats weren't reserved, so you get stuck waiting outside the theater for an extended period of time. It's like, come on, man. So, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to The Mandalorian. And then, of course, we got big basketball games this week and also a holiday weekend, Memorial Day coming up on Monday. So I hope all of you have a great extended weekend, which will be nice. I just can't believe the forecast. I was checking it. This time of year, I just set tee times. I don't even pay attention to the forecast. And then every once in a while, I'll take a peek at the upcoming weather to see what's cracking. And it looks like Monday we're going to get some disturbance. Monday, Tuesday, expected rain. So we're going to get nice weather tomorrow, sunny and 78. Partly sunny on Saturday and Sunday, 73 and 79. But then Monday and Tuesday are looking like garbage. Temperatures in the high 50s, low 60s with rain on Monday, Tuesday before we get back to dry weather on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah, so that's it. The rest of the entire month into the beginning of June is all dry, but the 2 days, of course, Monday, Tuesday. So that kind of throws a wrench into the plans a little bit. That's unfortunate. And there you have it. And then so tonight, we got Knicks and Cavs going on right now, and then tomorrow we'll get Thunder and Spurs from San Antonio, game number 3. So the series is going to shift scenes. Of course, the conference finals 2-2-1-1-1. That's how it's laid out. Let's check in on Tom Dundon's hockey squad and see how they're doing right now. Eastern Conference Finals in the Stanley Cup playoffs kicking off, and the Canadians right now 4-1 advantage in the first with 5:15 to go. They're up 4-1. Not a good start for the Hurricanes opening up the Eastern Conference Final at home. Incredible. 4-1 Canadians. But it's early. Long way to go in that one, but still, what a start by Montreal. Big underdogs going into that game, too. Whew. My goodness. I don't know where Dundon's at. Maybe he's at the game. Probably he's gripping right now. Tom Dundon is definitely gripping on that one. Wow, 4-1 Montreal. Yeah, I still think Colorado's going to come back. I know Alex Silverman, who we had on the first hour, he thinks Vegas is going to do it. I still like Colorado to come back. I think they're the best team. So I expect the Avalanche to bounce back in the series and move on and win the title, but, we'll see how things shake out. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Now, Shacker, are you excited about Masters of the Universe?
I'm looking at the commercial right now during the basketball game. No, it doesn't look that good. The movie that was made in the 80s was horrible. And so, yeah. I mean, it can't be that hard to do better than that. But, I mean, I don't know. Do kids even care about He-Man, young kids?
I don't think so. I did. Did you watch the cartoon when you were younger?
Yeah, I watched the cartoon when I was younger. Kevin Smith on Netflix continued the story from that original cartoon. It was kind of interesting because they kind of made it more adult theme type storyline. But I mean, I don't hear kids talking about He-Man, or is it on the shelves at Walmart? I mean, how popular is He-Man? Was there demand for this movie?
I not that I'm aware of. I mean, all I know is that the cartoon was one of the best cartoons that I grew up with. The He-Man cartoon, it's fabulous. I just don't know. I mean, it's hard to replicate that type of greatness on the big screen. I don't know if they can do it.
Well, I hope it succeeds, and then they'll make a real-life Voltron. I'd like to see that.
Huh.
A live-action Voltron.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
what about Mask? You've mentioned that on your show.
Oh, Mask was sensational. Yeah, that was. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I was a big fan of that. The Ninja Turtles when they were new, I liked all that stuff. And Ninja Turtles has worked out in this. Oh, go on.
It has, yeah. Ninja Turtles worked out. I think Brian Bino from Fox Sports Radio was a big fan of Mask. I even loved the line, "Mask will be right back." And so will Venom. Those He-Man and Mask. Like when I'd get home from school, like I'd go upstairs, get a couple of snacks from the pantry, and then come down and watch Mask and He-Man. Those were the days right there. That was the best.
Hey, I'm glad they're trying. I mean, I was bummed that the G.I. Joe movies didn't work from last decade.
That's true. Yeah, G.I. Joe was a great cartoon as well. We grew up with we had the best cartoons, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence, and it's when time slots for cartoons mattered because we were all watching at the same time.
Yeah, now I would imagine the majority of kids just watch their stuff on, watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, or they go to Netflix or some type of on-demand situation, but they're not watching cartoons on Saturday morning like we were. It's just a different ball game now.
Or I'd miss G.I. Joe because of soccer practice, and that's what I'd be talking to my friends about at school the next day. I'd be like, hey, what happened? There's a 5-part G.I. Joe special, and I missed a couple of the parts because of soccer. There was no going to the internet to look up spoilers and like recaps of shows.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, man. We did. We grew up in the best time. You should, what can you do? All right, 33-31 Cleveland with 8:07 to go first half at Madison Square Garden. And as I mentioned, Montreal with a 4-1 lead in the first period on Carolina. So Dundon's hockey squad not getting the job done in game one, but they were prohibitive favorites to come out of the East and get to the Stanley Cup final. So it's early, and home ice advantage doesn't have the same impact, it appears, in hockey that maybe some of the home court does in basketball or whatever. But man, the Stanley Cup playoffs have been great, and I enjoy it. It's good times. Great. It's beautiful outside right now. I think it's over 80 degrees. Last check, when I checked the thermometer, it was like 83, the temperature gauge. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Big thanks to Michael Shacker, Alex Silverman, and Jared Lambert for joining the show to talk about Bridge to Kids. Hope you guys have a great evening. I'm off to go see The Mandalorian. I'll have a full report for you. But you guys have a great night. Big thanks to Michael Shacker. And enjoy the games, my friends. And we'll talk to you tomorrow with the Rip City Drive at 3 o'clock right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Have a good night.